Hey guys, this is Maker of Beauty, and I am doing a tutorial on talking a little bit more about curving of the text. It seems to be a bit of a frustrating point for a lot of new users, and I just wanted to give you a couple of the pointers. But before we begin our tutorial specifically about the curving of the text, let me remind you of this wonderful tool called WordMarket.it. It is available to everyone, it's free, and the beauty of this tool is that when you go out to the site and you type in whatever word you're playing with that you want to find the font for, if you just press the keyboard on your whatever device you use, right? What it's doing is that it will show you what all of the fonts that you have installed on your device. In my case, I'm a PC user, so I'm on a laptop, right? And it helps you to figure out what looks good to you visually, for the whatever design that you're trying to do. So, for example, I like how the Amet is looking, right? So I'm going to select that. I like how the Argentinian script is looking, so I'm going to select that one as well. And the beautiful whatever, this one looks pretty good to me, this one looks pretty good to me as well. So I have made a couple of the choices, right? Once you just click once in the box, and once I have selected that, I click on a filter selected, and so what it's doing, it's throwing out all of the rest of the fonts, and instead of bringing to me the ones that look pleasing to me so far. And then out of this, right, you can decide to zero in like a little bit further. So this is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It'll show you all of your fonts all at once. You don't have to sit and try to play with different fonts in a design space in order to see how it would look visually. Okay, now let's go and get going with our coverage of curving in the design space. One thing you need to understand about the design space is that it's a very simple graphic design software, very simple one. It does not have the full capabilities of free product, for example, Inkscape, and certainly doesn't have all of the features and capabilities that you get through using Adobe or Procreate and all other applications. And so I think where a lot of people get very frustrated is in two places. First one is that when they look with the SVG that they had either downloaded for free from from a reputable source and or they had bought it. What I mean is that when you work with an SVG that comes ready for you, it's a freebie that I've downloaded from Design Bundle a few days ago. I'm sorry, that was actually a couple of weeks ago. But in any case, there is a whole bunch of the text, right? And I can definitely ungroup the file and I can reposition my text as I need to. But notice I cannot curve the text, right? And the reason to it is that the design space is not reading this as a text. It is reading it as a single flat file. And so you can change the size. You can, I don't know, move it around, like if you want to reposition. Like if you didn't like the display and you wanted to, I don't know, bring out the stuff, and you definitely have an ability to do that. But the curving option is not available to you. So I think that's pain point number one. And now let's talk about the pain point number two. Let's go ahead and get rid of this and get back to the clean canvas, and this time we're going to do something directly in the design space itself. I'm going to create a text. I'm just going to click on my text box. Here's my text, and let's work with the word welcome. And I'm going to set it to one of my own fonts, system font, right? Okay, so once you have your text, right, notice how you have a whole bunch of the tools specific to font. And here you can play with the font a little bit more, right? You can change the font, you can change the style, if you want to bold it out or, do it italica, whatever. It's all available to you right in here. I'm actually going to put this back to bold because for the purpose of the demo, the bold straight, it's going to look a little bit better. If you need to move the letters closest to each other, you use your letter space. And notice how it's squeezing them a little bit more. And the line space would be applicable if we had a full sentence, which we're not doing it. You have your alignment. That doesn't make sense right now because it's a single text box, and then you have your curve. And here you can curve it out whichever way you want, right? But the curving part is limited. Like if you wanted to, I don't know, the W and E to be on a smaller size and everything is on a big size, you are not going to be able to do that with the design space. For that, you would have to, again, either look at things like Inkscape or Adobe. In my case, I use a Gravit, but certainly not directly in a design space. And I think where the second pain point in a design space comes in is that once you've modified your text, right, and then, say you decided to ungroup it and you've introduced other things, or maybe you had moved stuff, right, or if you like even welded and such. And what happens is that you no longer have your font tools, right? They're completely gone. I mean, it had become like the cut from my earlier example. It had turned from the font, which is treated differently, to being a single cut file line. And therefore, you don't have the text capacity. The way to get around this is to just simply have a duplicate. So before you get, too far in advance in your design, just write out all of the text that you need. So for example, I'm going to say, it's going to be welcome to our wedding. And let's grab a third one. That's going to be wedding. And say that, you have decided which fonts you want to use, so you know what you're using. We're going to, okay, I don't like this one. Maybe this one is a little bit better. Okay, sure. It's bugging me a little bit visually, but for the simplicity's sake, I'm just not going to play with it too much. But, before you start playing around more with what it is that you want, right, just ensure that it continues to stay as text, right? And if you do some action, for example, you're going to weld it, and you see that, it's no longer had become text, but you possibly might need to have some changes done to it, just make a duplicate of everything. This is what I do. I grab the whole thing, I typically group it, I duplicate it, and then I hide my duplicate out. And this way, right, you still have your clean canvas to work with, and your duplicate is not making the canvas difficult for you, and you can continue to work with this as you want to. And should something happen and you need to like undo the action, or I don't know, maybe you forgot like the name of the text, and because once you weld, it takes away the name of the text. It's actually still available for you because you just need to hover it and it'll give you more information about it, but it's not always available to people and it can act funky. But to make sure that you have all of the components that you need available to you, duplicate and hide. This way, your canvas is clean, it's easy for you to work in here, and you can always go back to your original if you need to. In any case, any questions, ask away. Take care. Bye.